Hello, angels and others, and we're up to day 13 of our 365-day podcast Odyssey. And yesterday I talked about peace, and the two previous days I talked about finding your passion, your reason for being here, and part of that is using peace. And peace also has, if you like, another use, another virtue is probably a better word. So first of all, I will read you a poem that I wrote about peace. It's called The Peace Poem. The pot called the kettle black. The kettle said nothing. And that was that. See, A Course in Miracles tells us that our defenselessness is our greatest strength. And when we start to realize that who we are is good enough, and who we are doesn't need defending. Who we are, we don't need excuses. We don't need to explain ourselves, not to anyone. I mean, even to the police, we have the right of silence. So when the police ask us, details, we don't have to say a thing. We can invoke our right to silence. And bear in mind, when the police ask us anything, it's to their advantage, not to ours, because as they say, anything you say will be used against you. They never say anything you say will be used for you. It's always going to be against you. The more words you give to the police, the more fuel they have against you. And it's very similar in everywhere else, in normal life, say. As if the police aren't normal. I would never say that. So, as an example, in the mid-90s, I did a 3-day men's course. And one of the many sort of little sections of it, we had a discussion about giving reasons for not doing things. So when we're invited to do something, if we're invited to a party or a movie, or asked if we would do something for somebody, I don't know, clean their house, look after their children, if we would do something for somebody else, when we have an invitation and we don't want to do it, what do most people do? We make up some excuse. Oh, the car's broken down, or my kid's sick, or la-da-da-da. We make up some excuse. The problem with making up excuses, well, there's two problems. One of the problems with making up excuses is if you, for example, say, oh, my car's broken down, someone can say, oh, fine, I'll come and pick you up. Or if you say, my child is sick, oh, that's fine, my daughter can look after them. Or whatever. Every time you make an excuse, it gives the other person, the inviter, an opportunity to find a solution for you. So you still have to do the thing you really don't want to do. The other problem with excuses is that the more excuses we use, the more disbelievable we become. If we say, oh, this is happening and that's happening and this is happening, it's apparent that we actually don't want to do what we're being asked, but we don't have the integrity, the strength, or the honesty to say no. And instead of saying no, which can be a bit blunt, you're welcome to do that, of course, but if we just say, I don't feel like it, there is nothing that the other person can do to create a solution. If you just say, sorry, I don't feel like it, that's the end of everything, the end of the questions. There is nothing else to say. There's nothing anyone can do. And also, it's usually the most honest answer. So when we give lots of excuses, it looks like we're being dishonest. And so people see us as less trustworthy. However, if we give the honest one, which is, I don't feel like it, thank you, that reeks of honesty, if we can say it that way. And people honor that a lot more and, trust us a lot more. Thank you, but I don't feel like doing it. And that can apply to absolutely any invitation. So it's just one simple script. Thank you, I don't feel like doing it. So that was the discussion we had in the group. What was prompted by the main facilitator, who I won't give his name. You'll see why in a moment. So that's what we talked about, not giving excuses. So a year after the workshop, a group of us got together and decided to have a reunion party, a reunion get-together. So we sent out all these invitations, who would like to come? And at least half of them came, which was wonderful to see all these guys again. And a lot of them didn't come. And a lot of them had reasonable excuses. They were overseas, or they were dead, or I don't know, things. So some had one or two excuses. Some had learnt from the previous year and said, thank you, but I don't feel like it. Can you guess who gave the most excuses? Of course, the facilitator, who told us not to give it excuses. He had this going, and this was happening, and this was happening, and all the rest was happening, and we discerned, based on his advice, that he was not an honest person, or that we shouldn't trust his excuses anyway. It would have been much more honourable for him to have said, thank you, but I don't feel like it. We would have honoured that and honoured him. So we all just felt a little bit dubious about this man who doesn't walk his talk. So when someone asks you for something, to do something, or when someone asks you why you did something, or why, or what, we don't have to even answer. So if it's a request, we can say, thank you, I don't feel like it. Or you can say, thank you, I don't feel like answering that question. There is no obligation. And I know I see this so time and time again, where people are asked something and I think, well, you don't have any right to ask that. But the other person feels this obligation to reply. And they don't have to say a thing. Just, that's an answer. Silence. Why are you doing that? As a child, I'd say just cause. And that's probably the best answer, because often we're just doing things because it seems like a good idea. So I invite you to think about, next time you're asked a request to do something that you don't want to do, are you able to stand in the power of defencelessness? Stand in the power of peace. Because when we answer with defenselessness, there is this feeling of peace that comes over us. Thank you, I don't feel like it. And that is honest. And when we're standing in integrity and honesty, there's peace. And that's the greatest power that we have. So from defenselessness, then peace ensues. So if someone asks you why you're doing something, my mother, well, in the olden days, back when I was young and so were others, someone would say, what's that? And you could be bothered answering, so you'd say it's a wigwam for a goose's bridle, which is absolute nonsense. So you could use that one. It's a wigwam for a goose's bridle. Why are you doing that? Because Fred's got yellow feet. I don't know. If you're in the mood, just make up a silly nothing. Or you could just say, I don't feel like answering. Or the other one I heard the other day was, if I gave you an answer, how would that change your life? Just another idea. So just bear in mind that we don't have to answer anything. We don't have to answer to anyone. We don't have to answer for ourselves. We are as we are as we are, and we're okay. Every one of us is fine. And we're being in this world in the best way we can. And we don't have to answer for that. And it's the person with the true power that is able to acknowledge that and not find a need to follow someone else's script. Stay in your own script. Just be calm. Thank you. I don't feel like doing that. And at this moment, I feel like ending and wishing you a wonderful day